by saying congratulations on Jack. I know it's a film that you made a little while ago now, but congratulations. It's an absolutely fantastic film.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you like it.
So, mate, tell us a little bit about where the idea for Jack first came from, because it's such a creative film. It's so different to what we've seen previously. Where did the idea come from in the first place?
Well, the idea is it's about a university student who struggles with his love and his sex life, but it's sort of told from the point of view of his penis. So you kind of hear his penis like kind of guiding him through his life and self-discovery and everything. And this idea we sort of had with my co-writer, and she sort of said, wouldn't it be funny if we sort of wrote something about men and how they really are, because we all know men think with their dicks, so wouldn't it be funny if we could, actually hear them speaking? And so this idea sort of stemmed from her, and we were like, no, that's absurd. That could never go. And then we started thinking about it, and we were like, actually, that's kind of brilliant, because it's just sort of like, well, why not? No one's ever done this, so why not give it a go? And so our main thing was sort of striking a balance in which, we were funny and we were inventive and we were creative, but not in a way in which it could become offensive. Because if you have a penis talking, odds are you are gonna have a few inappropriate things here and there. But I think we struck a good balance in making sure it was quite nice and didn't cross too many lines that offended anyone.
Yeah, it sounded like you were a little bit hesitant at the start with the idea. What was it that made you hesitant at the start, and what was it that kind of made you come around and like you said, decide, hey, no, this is a really good idea?
Yeah, well, I think what made us hesitant about the idea is the same thing that makes people hesitant to kind of watch the movie in the first place, because when we pitch it to people, a lot of the time there's this thing of like, they give us that little grin and like, oh, they clench their teeth and they're like, oh, I don't know if that's going to be like, and then they watch it and they're like, wow, no, this is actually completely opposite to what I thought it was going to be. I think my main kind of setback with it at the beginning was thinking that, I didn't want to be like raunchy sort of comedy, that it was just like a bit cringy and like, it was like, it was dirty but not in a sort of funny way. It was just sort of like, it's a bit cringe,
Yeah.
And so what made me come around to it was just honestly getting down and writing it and exploring all of these ideas and making sure that it wasn't a sort of a comedy that wasn't elegant or sort of classy. It's not the sort of Ernst Lubitsch, Billy Wilder comedies, but it's still a classy and elegant sort of comedy. Like it's not raunchy. And so what made me come back around to it was just writing it, getting down to it, and seeing that there was ways in which we could make it a movie that was appropriate, and we could have fun with it and make it really, really funny, laugh out loud, hilarious, without being, disgusting.
What was that writing process like for you? Did you find that once you had the idea of what you wanted to do, it kind of flowed quite easily when you were writing it, or did you still have some tough moments during that writing process?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, my main kind of, I'd never written anything before. Jack was my first venture into writing and into writing a feature film. Luckily, I had a great co-writing partner who's my producer, Elena Conte, and she'd written stuff before, and so the writing process was quite easy. We just kind of sit down and we'd have crazy ideas. The craziest things that we could think of. For example, there's one scene in which the protagonist's grandma finds some porn magazines in his room, and she starts tearing them up to the Hall of the Mountain King. So go da 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 da, you know that one,
Yep.
and it's sort of very dramatic and over the top, and so it was just literally getting together as if we were in like a writer's room for like a TV show, and we just like threw ideas at each other, and then we just like tried to, you know, get them together in a cohesive form. But a lot of it was just it came very easy. It was just kind of looking back at things that family members or friends or stuff like that had done, you know, in terms of sex, and just like trying to weave them into a script. So it did flow quite easily, to be honest.
I was going to ask that, like, aside from the point of view being from Jack, the rest of what happens in this is something that we've all been through, where we go to uni and we meet girls and things like that. How much of your own life did you put into that screenplay?
Well, I would say quite a little bit.
Yeah.
I took a lot of also anecdotes from, you know, friends and my brother and you know, and my dad and stuff like that. What anecdotes from who are that's reserved to me and them, because I think it would not make us look good if we started saying whose is whose. But it definitely took a lot of inspiration from things that had happened to me and to my friends and to my family in real life, which just goes to show how crazy and, you know, and stuff like that can be.
So when it came to casting, tell us a little bit about that casting process, because Luke is absolutely fantastic in this film. How did you go about discovering him? And tell us a little bit about the casting.
Well, the casting process, I think, you know, especially for Jack being my first film, I really did want to showcase kind of like young talent. I mean, they're all kind of in that university sort of age. I think when we did the film, no one was above the age of 25 in the main cast, apart from, of course, like the parents and the grandma. So I really wanted to be like, you know, they are their playing age, right? So I didn't go and pick like some 30-year-old to play like a 20-something university student. But in terms of casting, I think it was a very intricate process in which we kind of interviewed people at the very beginning. We tried to make sure that they kind of fit the character in terms of personality, and then we kind of, when we had a batch of about 10 people for each role, then we liked the personality and everything, then we like cast them in the role and we saw who fit better. But there was a lot of the actors that are in the movie that actually auditioned for other roles. So for example, Joe Clark, who plays Oliver, initially auditioned for the role of Charlie, who was Luke Burleson. But I think that the most interesting story out of the casting process is probably Luke, who is just fantastic in the film. He now has a show coming out on Disney Plus, which is incredibly exciting for him, and he's just got so much talent. But for him, we actually cast him about 2 weeks before the start of filming. We were down the main role, the actor who was playing Charlie. We were down him 2 weeks before the start of filming, and we sort of cast Luke as this, you know, this just like ray of sunlight hit his profile, and we were like, my God, he's amazing. I mean, he's not that your usual like leading man, but he's just got something that's just amazing, and he's incredibly funny. His comedic timing is just perfect, and he just fit the role so well. But I mean, he had literally 2 weeks to learn all of his lines. He did such a tremendous job.
And were you always going to be Jack, or was that another decision that you had to make down the track?
I think I was always going to be Jack. I don't know if it was a decision that I took early on, but it was definitely something that I kind of had in my mind for a long time. I've always been really into doing voices and stuff like that. Like growing up, my idol, my hero, my everything was Robin Williams, and so all of the voices and the energy he put into his performances and stuff like that always really inspired me, and I wanted to do something similar. Of course, not to the same degree as he did, because he was an absolute genius. But with Jack, I sort of wanted to just have a go at that. And I think it was something that I always wanted to do, just like put my voice to a character.
And how do you find the right voice for a penis?
Wow, that is an interesting one. I wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to give it a more comical voice, but my producer was sort of like, it would be better if we gave it this sort of like very British accent and more of a deeper voice, so he sounds like very interesting, very cool, rather than like very comedic, because then that sort of juxtaposition between his sort of serious voice and everything that's ridiculous going on around him and how seriously he takes things is going to be the thing that's really going to stand out and make everything funny. And she was right, because it did work out for the best in that sense. And I don't know, I think the voice for a penis is just about the voice is it's tough. I think given that so many of the experiences were of my own penis, I think it just made sense to give it my voice.
Yeah. So, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly, so I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are about to sit down and watch Jack? Especially, like as you said before, sometimes people are a little bit hesitant, but what would you like to say to everybody out there before they sit down and watch this great film?
I think what I would like to say is give it a chance. I think that would be my main thing. I think don't be deterred by the synopsis or, whatever preconceived notions you may have of penises. They are nice people too. And just, sit down, give it a watch, and you won't regret it, because it really is quite something, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun watching it. That would be my main thing. Just give it a chance, because you're going to have a blast.